What's up, everyone? This is the Fraser LeVay podcast. It was formerly the greatest podcast in the universe, but I've rebranded because, as you've noticed, I've done a ton of sports lately. I created a new website, faneverland.com, for sports and culture, but we're back to our roots with travel here. Traveling to Antigua, Guatemala, one of my favorite cities on earth. Top three, hands down, especially just the expectations I had, how gorgeous it is, the history, the architecture. It's so affordable. There's adventure that you never knew you could do, which we'll get into, such as hiking active volcanoes and seeing lava or lava, depending where you're from, just spewing from the volcano right in front of your eyes. It's incredible. You have to go. Your next trip, if you don't know what to do, fly to Guatemala. I've got an entire podcast on Guatemala, and check that out for where you should go aside from just Antigua. Before we dive in, I got to shout out to a new partner of mine, SafetyWing. They are a travel medical insurance provider. I always use travel insurance. It's a lifesaver. I wish I did it every time in my past. I don't as much anymore, but SafetyWing is great. I've been saved with bags. My bags always get lost, and now I get a check when my bags are lost. My bags were broken the other 2 trips ago. $300 check from travel insurance. Use it, and that's obviously also covers medical. I'll tell you more about it later, but SafetyWing, check it out. I've got a link in this podcast, so you can go right through it. Use that link so I can get a little love from them, as they're a great partner of mine. But let's get in to Antigua, Guatemala. One of the world's best kept secrets. It's obviously not a secret, but significantly more than the Costa Ricas, the Mexicos, Perus, Colombia, Brazil. It should be number one in Latin America and maybe the world. I love it. And before we got in, I'll tell you at the end how to get around. I should just tell you now. You'll land into Guatemala City and then instantly take an Uber out, or organize a private shuttle or a group shuttle, whatever you'd like. But it's easy to get from Guatemala City to Antigua. When there's no traffic, you can be there in 40 minutes. When there is traffic, it can take maybe 3 hours. So if you land in the middle of the night, there's tons of Ubers waiting for you, or set up a shuttle. And that's the best time to go, because then, boom, airport, Antigua, you wake up in the beauty that is Antigua, Guatemala. So check that out if you do. You're trying to figure out when to go, how to get around, how to get there from the airport. But let's dive in to the 20 best things to do in Antigua. Number one, you have to hike an erupting volcano and sit on top of the world. Hiking Acatenango and Fuego isn't just one of the best things to do in Antigua. It's one of the best things to do literally in the world. It is hard. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but it offers one of the most stunning rewards of any hike you will ever do in your entire life. So if you're able-bodied, please be sure to do this. They've started actually doing vehicle rides up some of the way. So check that out. I haven't dove too much into the vehicle rides. I'm more of a hiker, and I think if you're going to see this kind of stuff, you should do it the hard way. And even if you do get a ride up, you still have a heck of a lot of hiking to do to go see Fuego, which is completely separate, and there's no way to drive up that one. So I used Huicho and Charlie's for a variety of reasons. They're a big guide in Antigua. So Huicho and Charlie's, use them. It's a 2-day adventure. And when you come back down, be sure to have a massage and spa day in the afternoon all scheduled, because you'll need it. It is one of the hardest hikes I've done. It's a rough 24 hours of hiking, that's for sure. Second favorite thing to do in Antigua is just walk around with no set plans. It seems simple. I say this in most every city, but there's just a plethora of ruins, shops, museums, and sites to see on your first day. So just do your own walking tour. It's such a walkable city. It's pretty small. I guess it's more of a town. But I would maybe just circle a breakfast place you want to go to and walk towards it, and maybe circle someplace you want, a museum or a ruin you want to see, and just kind of walk around through the streets and meander. Things will pop up out of nowhere that you had no idea existed. It's truly just stunning. It reminds me of not Rome, because really nothing is Rome, but it just had that feeling, a smaller version of it. But where in Rome you turn a corner and all of a sudden there's just some enormous sculpture you didn't know existed, or ruin, or whatever it is. And Antigua's that same feeling where just walking around, things you didn't know existed will pop out of nowhere. And it also reminds me a little bit of Peru and Cusco, because where you hike Machu Picchu in Peru and others, here you're hiking volcanoes. So all in Antigua, you're getting a feeling of a little bit of Cusco, which is the gateway to Machu Picchu, and then also a little bit of Rome, just which makes it such a remarkable, cool city. Go at a relaxing pace. Spend 5 to 7 days in Antigua. There's so much to do, and just take it all in. Don't just rush it to check it off your list. I think that's a mistake a lot of people do, is just, okay, I saw Antigua, now I'm off to Lake Adelan, now I'm off to Flores, kind of thing. No, take your time, enjoy it, soak in the town. It's one of the most beautiful cities, towns on earth. So, number 3, visit the Antigua Mercado and the Mercado de Artisans. I've asked my friends who travel a lot and have been to Antigua. It's truly one of the biggest markets inside of a town in the world. There's markets outside of towns. There's even one in Guatemala that's Chichistenango, which is even bigger, but that's, not inside, just a gorgeous town. So they answered yes. It's one of the biggest markets in the heart of a town we've ever come across. It's really cool. You see everything from all the tourist stuff to knockoff clothes to, the fruit market, flower market, local clothes, local pots and pans, kitchenware, fish, meat. And there's also a pretty cool food court in there where it's all locals, little food stalls, cooking things up. It's really neat. It's quite the experience, especially if you haven't done a lot of traveling or markets. It's one of my favorites. So you're gonna love it. Next, number 4, visit La Merced and the street food market, which lays just outside of La Merced. It's a stunning Catholic temple built in 1767, and the views from the roof are some of the prettiest in Antigua. That's the other thing I love about Antigua. It's like there's rooftops everywhere, and your view is multiple volcanoes surrounding you, which is unparalleled to any other city on earth. It's incredible. And then you've got the architecture as the setting with the volcanoes, and it's a sight to behold. You have to do it. There's a lot of churches and ruins that could, be better than La Merced. They're all really cool. I'll list more, but I just put La Merced higher because it's right next to like a little main street food corridor, which adds to its flair. The entire plaza outside La Merced is like, just, especially on weekends, is a ton of stalls serving up sandwiches, tacos, empanadas, street corn, quesadillas, soups, meats, and obviously local fare. It's it's awesome. You have to go check it out. The food's safe. I ate most everything, but a local did say be leery of the chicken, as sometimes it can be left out over a long period of time. With that said, the locals are eating it, and so I always think it's fine. If they're eating it, obviously they're not eating it to be poisoned. With that said, locals do have a lot harder stomachs than we do, so you never know. You can be safe and not eat the chicken. I did. There was this pork sandwich that was just grilled and buttery, and this local bread, and it was something else. If you are going to try the street food, wait until after you hike Acatenango, because the last thing you want is a rough stomach doing that thing. You'll never finish it. 5th favorite thing to do in Antigua is stay at Habatenango. This would be number 2 on the list, but I assume not everyone is a Lord of the Rings fan. Hobbitenango is a little hobbit village. They've got hobbit houses you can stay in, and they give you a butler while you stay there. You get a radio, and you can just call the butler, who will give you anything you want. They deliver breakfast. He will give you breakfast wherever you want. Takes your pictures if you're traveling solo like me. These little casitas are so cute. They're actually really big. I had a bedroom, a living room, a separate bathroom, a spa outside, and a rooftop. Even if you don't care about Lord of the Rings, this is one of the coolest places to stay. The butler starts your fire. I don't know. It's just the views. They have really great decor. So there's some incredible pictures you can take around the place. And it's like a little fair area, great for kids. So stay out there for a couple nights if you can. It's really, really peaceful, romantic. Again, even if you don't care about Lord of the Rings, it's just a great, cool place to go. I loved it. I had so much fun because I love Lord of the Rings as well. And it's also pretty affordable. Like there, you would think, okay, you're out at this sort of, I don't know, unique tourist trap, but all the food and drinks wasn't anything outrageous compared to, obviously it was a tourist price, but not a crazy tourist price or anything like that. 6 on the list, visit Convento La Recolección. There are a few must-visit ruins because there are a ton if you want to visit ruins, but a few must visit, which includes this one, and you must check them out. I'll cover the other two as well. It's impossible to pick which one is better. They're all unique and fun in their own right. A lot of people just go to the main entrance and take the cool picture under the arch and then walk up and then back down and leave. They don't realize you can go around to the left and there's a whole nother area of really nice ruins to check out. So don't just go up and down the stairs and check that out. Go around the side and explore a little bit. It's really cool. 7 is Rooftop Hop. I alluded to it earlier. Some of the best views in the world. Tons of restaurants, cafes, and bars with rooftop views. So go do that. Circle a bunch of rooftops and go check them out. Or like I said in my second point, just have some rooftops you want to see and visit. And along your walks, just stop in one when you feel like stopping in one. Eat when you want to eat. Have a drink when you want to have a drink. Have a coffee when you have a coffee. It's great. 8, watch a soccer game at Estadio Pensativo. If you are in Latin America, watching a soccer game is a must, even if you're not a soccer fan. The local Antigua team is typically in the top half of the main league in Guatemala, so you should get a solid team and obviously a unique, fun atmosphere. The stadium itself is also incredible, as I've mentioned everything about Antigua, where the view is volcanoes and mountains surrounding you, which makes it one of the more pretty soccer stadiums or stadium of any kind you'll come across, with just a really gorgeous views. 9, visit Cathedral de Santiago, Antigua. It's a stunning 16th century cathedral, which is another just magnificent example of the colonial architecture you will find in Antigua. One of the other main 3 or 4 ruins you have to check out. Cheap to get into, doesn't take too long. You can do it yourself or get a guide. Really pretty. Highly recommend that, as I love it. Now I have to get into, I want to remind you, SafetyWing. I told you I'd tell you some more info about it. Won't take too much of your time, but just use it. Medical insurance, it's specific for everyone, where you want medical insurance, you want travel insurance. What's nice is there's a $0 deductible. So you're covered even for the smallest claims. Claims, it only takes like 5 to 10 minutes to do a claim. I've done this before where you think, okay, to file a claim, it's going to be not worth it. It's going to take up an hour of my time, give me more stress than I need to cover $50, $200, $300. $150, it all adds up. But mine have been like $300, $400, which I've just gotten a check within a couple of weeks. You typically get reimbursement within 5 to 7 business days. So boom, something happens, get a check. And like I said, lost luggage, delayed flights, not even saying if the worst case happens, where of course a bad medical emergency, which, could cost $100,000. Who knows? Here you've got travel medical insurance with up to $250,000. Hopefully that never happens, but at least you're covered. Kids under 10, they're free. So that's great. It also covers you in 180 countries. So if you're from one of these 180 countries, you can get it for any of the other 179 and travel with a great peace of mind. So everyone can use it. There's no pre-approval. It takes like 5 minutes to purchase, which is awesome. And customer service, like you're not on you call and someone picks up, a real human. None of this nonsense that obviously you go through with insurance in general or Amazon or anything else. So it's great. Like I said, it saved me a ton of money, and I'm not a fan of the world of insurance, house insurance, car insurance, but travel insurance, it actually does make sense because it does save you your bacon a ton. On top of that, you also don't want to get hurt. So the best kind of insurance, I would say, is travel insurance. SafetyWing, check out the link in this podcast to use it, and it'll take you right where you need to go. Again, I'll say it, it's really cheap. I think $100 has covered me for a 2 or 3 week trip, or even less. So it's well worth it. And my past 2 or 3 times, I've gotten reimbursed $300. So I've actually been making money. SafetyWing, check out the link in the description of this podcast. But let's move on. 10, check out Park Central. Grab a coffee and people watch or a drink. It's just a central park surrounded by historic buildings, including the Cathedral of Santiago, the Palacio de los Capitanes Generales. Sorry, I butchered that. And it's often just home to many community ongoings throughout the time you're there. So, I mean, there was choirs, there was bands. When I was there, it was just always something going on, and just a real nice central spot where people meet and, yeah, congregate, have a good time. 11, grab a drink in a hidden speakeasy. Antigua somehow is one of the coolest places to get a cocktail, which you would never think, obviously. There's 2 hidden speakeasies, and one you find through a phone booth, another you go through a fridge door. So be sure to save a night or two to explore Antigua at night. Check out the website for how to find these places. I could try and explain a couple of them, but yeah, check out inspiredtravelite.com on the Antigua website and the Antigua article to find out how to get these places, because they're both escaping me off the top of my head. The burger and I don't know, it's all there for you. But check out the speakeasies. They're incredible. And just bars in general in Antigua. There's a ton of really unique, fun places to get drinks. So highly recommend having a few nights out, or a couple nights out, or 1 night out, or 0 nights out, whatever you want. 12, visit the ruins Iglesia y Convento de las Capuchinas. Sorry again for butchering this. This is 3rd on must-visit ruins, and it could be the most interesting and historic site. It was home to a bunch of Capuchin nuns and offers a fascinating look into Antigua's religious history. There's stunning views from a rooftop, a circular tower, cloister, library, and underground rooms that are truly just a sight to behold. 13, eat as much as you can. There are some, just like there's incredible bars in Antigua, they have some of the most unique and delightful restaurants you can ever come across. Whether you want like farm to table, true farm to table, you're on a farm and they bring it to the table. There was a salad at the farm to table restaurant, which check out the best places to eat and the best places to drink, 2 separate articles on inspiretraveleat.com. But a salad, it's like, who cares? It's a salad. I mean, people, I guess, like salads. I'm indifferent. This salad was the greatest salad I've ever had. I ate one of the carrots, and the carrot had 10 times the flavor of any carrot I've ever eaten in my entire life. It tasted like, I like carrots, but again, indifferent, don't care. I would eat these carrots all day, every day, given the choice. And that's just the carrot. Imagine how the rest of the food is. They also make their own custom smoothies and drinks and burgers. It's wild. Coaba Farms, by the way, is the place. This is the farm to table, Coaba Farms. They have street food, as mentioned, local fare. They have Rincon Atueno is just like this rotisserie fire. It's a giant, I don't know how to explain it, grill barbecue rotisserie setup where they're cooking all the meat in front of you, potatoes. Such a cool place. You have to go, and ridiculously cheap. I forget what it was, but something like $5 or $6 or $7 got me an entire plate of food, tortillas, and a Coke and a juice. I think it was even closer to five. Just wow. You have to eat. There's rooftop places, as mentioned, but I've got it all listed on the website if you want a deeper dive into places to eat and drink in Antigua. 14, visit a coffee plantation. Even if you don't like coffee, taking a walk through the plantation like Finca La Azotea, Finca La Azotea, it's just a fun couple hours. First, again, not all coffee people are coffee lovers, but most people like espresso martinis. Go to the bar, grab an espresso martini to go, and meander around the grounds. It was really neat just to see. I had no idea how coffee beans were created. I had no idea they looked almost like grapes until they're harvested. They're like colorful little grape looking things. Zero clue how they're created. So that was just kind of neat to see how they went from point A to being harvested to ground and all else. They've got a coffee museum, a little chocolate shop. You can buy fresh chocolate, fresh coffee, which obviously is a great gift. And an outstanding restaurant. They also do horseback riding on site. So it's free to enter. I think the museum you get charged, but if you just want to walk around the grounds, that's completely free. And they continue to add more fun stuff to do, like cornhole and games. And it's a great venue if you ever want to get married in Guatemala as well. So check it out. Giant, amazing spot. 15, this is simple. Walk through the iconic Arco de Santa Catalina. I left this late because really anyone going knows to do this. But it's a neat little spot. It was built in the 17th century, originally created to allow nuns to pass from one building to the other without going inside. Try to visit early in the morning because you'll have it to yourselves if it's really early in the morning. Or even at night, there's typically a little bit less people as they're getting ready for dinner and such. So, cool spot. Obviously, check it out. There's one of the main pictures to take in Antigua. 16, I should have put this higher, but eat marshmallows cooked in Pacaya Volcano. For another unique hike, Pacaya Volcano is spectacular. It's active. It's exploded 3 times or erupted 3 times in the last 10 years, I want to say. Recently, I think 3 years ago. So you can actually see where the lava flows, each one of the last 3 different eruptions. If you're doing Acatenango and if you're short on time, you don't have to do it. It's nothing near what you get to experience with Acatenango. So hiking it to kind of have the roasted marshmallows is like, okay, I guess. I would have not done it because it is, I forget, it takes an hour and a half or 2 hours to get there and then back. Then the hike itself, you're with a group. That takes a couple hours. It's definitely unique, but it's almost a full day thing and just exhausts you. So if you don't have tons of time in Antigua, you can maybe miss it. And especially if you're doing Acatenango, but still something pretty cool. Hike Cerro de la Cruz, which is another majestic view of Antigua. And it's just a little spot to check out and look over all the town. It's really easy. You can either walk from town or you can take a tuk-tuk who drops you off at the steps. 18, I should have this higher. Volunteer with Maximo Novell. I volunteered and partnered a ton with Maximo Novell and built soccer courts and fields around Latin America. There's nothing better you can ever do. I've got an entire podcast, please listen to it, about why you should volunteer travel. And it's life-changing. You'll never travel any other way again without giving back, especially if you have time. It's a great way to meet people. It's affordable. They give you places to stay. Check out, it's on my website, but Maximo Novell. Use code or say Inspire Travel Eat Fraser LeVay. Probably won't get anything, but you might. I don't know. But people volunteer for months at a time. I typically only have a week or so to volunteer, so I'll do that. But so worth it. You must do it anywhere you go. Another IVHQ, International Volunteer Headquarters, is a company that I've worked with as well, and they're around the world. So you can go to Africa and work with animals. You can go to Algeria and be a dentist if you're a dentist or a nurse. You can go to anywhere around the world. They've got stuff that you can do: marine biology, childcare, medical stuff, helping building new schools. It's incredible what they do. And like I said, it's a great way to meet people. It's very affordable if you want to travel on a budget and have a place to stay, food made for you. It's awesome. Once in a lifetime experience, unless you do it more than once, which you should. 19, have a drink of Quetzaltica. I'm sure I butchered that. It's just a fun, unique bottle to buy, and it's surprisingly very tasty. It's a local Guatemalan liquor that comes in a bunch of flavors. Something fun to bring back to back home and have people taste back when you return from your trip. 20, this is a weird one, but you must visit an American fast food restaurant. I would, of course, never suggest this in a million years, but I'm pretty sure Antigua must have a law where they're saying, like, McDonald's, Taco Bell, if you want to come, Starbucks, if you want to come to our town, you have to create the coolest version of your restaurant, and it has to fit into the mold of Antigua. And the results are the prettiest McDonald's, Starbucks, Taco Bell you'll ever see in your life. So something just to check out, especially if you're spending 2 to 4 weeks in Guatemala. I guess a little comfort food never hurts. Sometimes you've been eating the same local food over and over, and maybe you just want a cheeseburger. I get it. And some fries and a Coke, and then another cheeseburger. 21, take a day trip to Lake Atitlan. Honestly, you should spend 2 to 4 days at the lake, as I think a day trip is a waste of time. Unless you're young and have lots of energy, then I guess it's not a waste of time. But there's so many cool villages around Lake Atitlan that you really just don't want to rush it and just be like, oh, I saw it and left. One, often it can be cloudy and you don't get really the greatest view that you'd want. There's volcanoes to hike. As mentioned, multiple villages surrounding the lake. So spend a few nights there, but if you're really in a rush and really want to see it, take a day trip there, which can be done. Other things to do. I'll just end this along with one more shout out to SafetyWing, but other things to add if you have done all the above. See Castle Santo Domingo, Convento Santa Clara, the Jade Museum, the Royal Palace. Oh, pamper yourself with very cheap spots. Like a 90-minute massage. I can't remember, was it $20? Max 40, but I feel like it was like 25 or 30 for a 90-minute massage. It is ridiculous how cheap it is. Visit a chocolate museum and make chocolate. Learn Spanish, as there's a ton of Spanish schools in town, or take a cooking class. To get around, use an Uber. They're actually cheaper than tuk-tuks. And if you've been walking all day, some AC doesn't hurt. Do not just visit. I have to repeat this. Don't visit Antigua as a stopping ground for Tikal or Lake Atitlan, as I think it's probably the best place to visit in Guatemala. It is. I'm going to say it's the best place to visit. If you have a chance, experience Semana Santa, which is a Holy Week around Easter. The city comes alive with processions, carpets made of colored sawdust, and just, wow, it's truly a sight to behold. It's incredible. I love it. Where to stay? As mentioned, Hapatenango. Gotta go there, even if not a fan. And it's only like, to stay in your own private casita, I think it's 130 US per night, maybe 140, which is, wow, is one of the greatest places I've ever stayed. And you're telling me it was that cheap? Do it if you have time. Then the Good Hotel. They put some of their profit into their charities, and it's just an overall great cause. I think their motto is like, stay good, feel good, do good, something like that. But always nice to stay at a place that's giving back to the community. They've built a school in Guatemala and done so much more. So check that place out. If you were looking for a hostel, then one of the best is Adra. It's just a contemporary style and stunning rooftop. It's got a few different bars on its ground, and it's a great place for hostel searchers. If you want to spend a lot of money, Hotel Casa Santo Domingo is the nicest and best higher-end hotel in Antigua. El Convento is another gorgeous higher-end hotel, as is Hotel Posada de Rodrigo. And if you want something for like a middle ground cost, Hotel Eterna Primavera Antigua is a solid spot. So you got to check it out. It's one of the best places ever. And again, I just want to say thank you to SafetyWing for partnering with me on this episode, and more to come. If you're hitting the road soon, use SafetyWing. I've talked about it enough, but even if nothing happens to you medically, like I said, it's helped me a ton with delayed flights, lost bags, damaged bags, which is 1 out of 2 trips I take. And I've gotten a $300 check for each of those. So SafetyWing, link is in the description of this podcast. This is the Fraser LeVay podcast. InspiredTravelEat.com for travel and food and inspiration. FanEverland.com for sports, culture, and nonsense. Please subscribe. Hit the little subscribe button if you listen this long. I'm impressed if you have and haven't subscribed already. Thank you very much. Fraser LeVay, I am out.